she loved you guys very much, and I'm glad she had you guys. So she was hit by this illegal immigrant who was unlicensed, uninsured. He had 2 prior DUIs and another offense that I'm not even sure what that was. He was up for deportation. For whatever reason, they neglected to deport him. Still don't know why. What the reason was, who knows? He was sentenced 5 to 20 years, at which time they say that he will be deported when he's finished serving his 5 years. Please build that wall. I have met a lot of great people from this whole thing. Chris, Andy, you're all very recent. JD, you were there almost right from the beginning. And I appreciate all your support and efforts. Nick's Clicks reached out to us. If you're not familiar with that organization, he was a wonderful support system, a wealth of information with the legal system, what would happen, how they play it out, and why he wasn't sentenced to a bigger portion of his life. Mary Lee, thank you for all your help. She helped me clean out a house with 60 years worth of possessions. It was brutal, emotionally, physically draining. I had help from my daughter, but there's really not much more family local that could help. So I just want to thank you all, and please be kind to each other and support Andy Meehan. He's on the right side. Thank you.
Did you want Andy?
Folks, I think it's appropriate to invite anyone who knew Sis to come up and share your voice and your stories about her, if you feel that that's appropriate. Feel free to do that.
I had a couple questions for Donna, if she's willing to share. Donna, could you tell us a little bit about what your experience has been with getting information from law enforcement about the case and where it stands, and why they made the decisions that they did with not charging him, and how'd that work out?
Unfortunately, it's their case, not our case. We were told what was being offered. We weren't given a choice. I would have liked to have seen his wife, who admittedly gave him the keys to the vehicle, have some consequences. But there really was none. She was hit Tuesday night. I didn't get the information on the vehicle that hit her until the following Monday. And that's when I was just basically told, here's her name, here's her insurance company. And then that insurance company said, she signed a paper with them saying he wouldn't drive it. So they washed their hands.
So there's no liability to be held for anybody because, what, you can't sue him personally for damages, or?
Well, he's in jail, so what are you gonna get?
Yeah.
But you can't sue her insurance company because she signed a thing with them saying that he wouldn't drive it.
So because she signed that, then she's absolved of all, liability.
We could sue
or
her, but
responsibility.
she's got 3 kids.
Yeah. So the end result is that because you have somebody who's in the country illegally, does not have a driver's license or insurance, you as a as a victim don't have any recourse, and it all falls upon you. Not only the emotional part of it, but the financial burden that you've had to.
I was forced to sell the family home.
Yeah.
And cheaply.
Yeah.
And anybody, don't ever sell to Robert Kumlock. He's a shyster. But yeah, there was nothing. I mean, we were scrimping to get the money to pay the taxes. The inheritance tax had to be paid. You know, we couldn't afford to keep it.
Did you ask Congressman Fitzpatrick about the situation?
I reached out to him several times, and I got onto the town meeting one time, and then they ran out of time for me. But he never returned any of my calls. So, yeah.
I think JD had something, or we were talking earlier today about the number of U.S. citizens that are killed by people that are in the country illegally, and he said something about 400 or 600. I don't know if I heard it correctly or not, but if we had that many people that are killed in our country by means other than an illegal immigrant, drunk driver, there would be a cacophony of voices calling for something to be done about it. But I don't know that we hear much about things, like that happened to you and your mother. Do you feel that way, Donna?
Right. I did ask the officer why wasn't something done when he stopped him in 2014 and 2016. Well, he was up for deportation. I said, but he goes, well, we don't police immigration. But isn't it illegal to be illegal?
So they basically didn't. I would think that they would be under obligation to notify ICE that they had detained a person in the country illegally who had committed a crime, and it's my understanding that under law they have to notify ICE, and that ICE can deport that person. So not only happened once but twice. How does that? Who are the people that are in charge of either the prison system or law enforcement that didn't report this, and why not? That's what I'd like to know. And do we have any information on that?
Actually, I spoke to someone it was a few months after my grandmother was killed, and they said that they personally know police officers who have pulled over illegals and let them go because they don't feel like filling out the paperwork. Close to the end of their shift, there's nothing that's done with them. And I think another big problem is that when these accidents happen, it's news right away, but the immigration status of someone isn't always known right away. And by the time it is known, it's old news, and it's not reported. And so a lot of people aren't aware of how many accidents and deaths are caused by them.
Yeah, we have another friend that we know that was hit by illegal immigrant, and her car was seriously damaged, and that's exactly what happened to her. They swept it aside, didn't want to deal with it because it was inconvenient or politically incorrect. I guess I don't know why it'd be politically incorrect to enforce our laws.
Because that's the nature of our society now. Americans don't have a voice anymore. We can't ask that our laws be upheld because it offends someone or hurts people's feelings.
Yeah, so it feeds into this notion that we have a two-tier justice system where the people at the very top, the politically connected people that are committing crimes, they get off scot-free, and the people who are in the country illegally are treated special because they're not subjected to the laws, but the people in the middle, all of us little people who have to deal with this, are the ones that bear the brunt of it.
And we always hear how much illegal aliens contribute to U.S. society. They pay $20 billion a year in taxes, and people overlook it's $120 billion a year, give or take, for their Medicaid, their food stamps, public education, all this other stuff, all of which, of course, U.S. citizens are paying for, but the media doesn't like reporting on that either.
Another burden on the working people and taxpayers that, is just we're expected to, shut up and go to work and accept it all and not stand up and say anything. And it's just wrong.
As a matter of fact, the night she was hit, I was up all night. I stood up all night looking out the picture window down to the roadway. I went down, gave the police officers my information. Please contact me. I'm the contact person. I didn't find out until the next morning that they had got the guy, until 3 news fans pulled in, and then they wanted my comments on his immigration status, which I didn't want to do because nobody told me anything. I had no information. I went to the police station the next day, mainly because I needed to get her ID so that I could take it to the coroner's office.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't do the cremation without ID. And the police said, no, it's all evidence, you can't have anything. And I said, okay, is there any information you can share with me? Nope, not at this time. So we did meet with the DA and the officer, that was, I think, the following Tuesday. And that's when they did confirm that he was illegal, he was unlicensed. And at that point, they said this was his 3rd DUI. But that all changed by the preliminary hearing, and they said blood alcohol wasn't high enough, but apparently he wasn't blood tested until several hours after.
Yeah. And did they say anything, Donna, about this concept of his wife, who was presumably giving him permission to drive her car, right?
Yes.
Well, if she was giving him permission to drive her car and she knew that he had no license and insurance, then she should be liable for something. Or the opposite of that would be, if she didn't give him permission to drive the car, he should be charged with theft, vehicle theft, right? Wouldn't that be? It should be one or the other, right?
Right, and they did say that she admitted to allowing him to drive the car occasionally.
Yeah.
Donna, most police officers in this area, in this township, carry field blood alcohol tests where they can check a person out on the spot if they suspect something.
I don't know if part of the problem was because it happened in Warrington, and then he drove that car almost 10 miles away to Gardenville. So it was a different municipality. I don't know if that had anything to do with it. He had already contacted an attorney by the time the police got there. That could have been part of the...
They said they had to wait.
Have breathalyzer kits in their cars.
Pardon me?
They all have breathalyzer swabs in their cars.
Yeah.
They're supposed to.
My daughter just said they said that...
The DA said that the police officers had to get permission to go in and I guess make contact with them because of jurisdiction, because he was out of their jurisdiction. So it was at least an hour after.
Well, and they told me when I asked how long after, they said it was 2 hours and 42 minutes after they apprehended him. So
They knew within like 20 minutes who it was or whose vehicle it was, but by the time they went through all the red tape to get there, it was quite some time afterwards.
And they didn't answer the door right away.
Yeah. Donna, can you comment on this concept of spousal privilege that you talked about, what she invoked there?
So apparently when they finally did open the door, the first thing she said to the police was, "Is that lady okay?" And so my mom was wearing like a fluorescent pink shirt, carrying a big white paper bakery bag that she had somebody's birthday cake. Because you guys were gonna have lunch the next day, Mary Pat. I think maybe
It's probably going to be there, yeah.
yes, so she had cupcakes for whoever's birthday it was. And it was in this huge white paper bag that was still on the roadway. I think Mary and I got it later that night. And so then he changed his story and said, oh, he didn't know what he hit. So, Yeah, but at preliminary hearing, she was yelling at not only the DA, but at his lawyer also. That's spousal privilege, you can't use that.
So she's using this veil of spousal privilege to shield herself, even though she was the one enabling him by providing him the vehicle. And she knew what was going on.
Right. And she did have the gall to say at the sentencing that this was the worst year of her life.
Yeah.
It was all about
Mom's
them.
life.
It was all about them.
About your life.
Yeah. Yeah, just, and, you know, it was an accident, it could happen to anybody.
It was an
He
accident.
was speeding, he was drinking, he was on the road illegally, he swerved out of his lane. Had he stayed in his lane, he wouldn't have never.
He never passed the driver's tests, presumably.
Right. Right, there's,
He was coming from a job too, right? How was he working?
pardon?
You know, he was coming from a job, right?
Yes.
So how's he been working all these years?
I don't know, I know when I applied for a job, I needed my license,
Right.
my social
So how
security
did they
card.
hire him? And he was there since for 18 years, or he was 18 when he got here, he said, wasn't it?
I think they said 14 years he was here,
Right.
because she did say
And
he had been here
traveled for his
14
job.
years, she had been married to him for 10, I think.
So how did
and
they
then
get
he was gonna
married
learn
if he was
English.
illegal? Right. How did they get married without being legal? You know?
Yeah. And they did get married here too, and why are, I don't know.
Yeah, who's that judge that married them?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Wonder if
Makes no
anybody went
sense.
after his boss. I
Pardon?
wonder if anybody was going after his boss.
Are they gonna do any checking into that? Because how
He's
many
been
more?
paying him under the table for how many years?
How many more
That's
illegal?
tax.
Yes.
They should go after his boss too.
Donna, I have a question. There's a story in J.D. Mullane's article about SIS's purse.
Oh,
Could you take us through that? Because that was such a striking detail of that story.
yes. So I think you all know my mom was at the casino that day on a bus trip with her friends from the senior center. She had been dropped off across the road. She had made it like within a foot and a half, 2 feet up the driveway, and he swerved and got her. And as I said, I went to the police station the next day to get her ID. And they said, you can't have it, it's part of evidence. We can't release anything. So I did find a passport, an old passport that they accepted. And then at the preliminary hearing, I said, well, when will we get her possessions? And they said, not until after he's sentenced will you get any of the evidence. And I said, oh, because like her license is in there, and the cop walked over and whispered to the DA, and the DA said, no, it wasn't in there. At that point, my daughter, my sister, and I all looked at each other like, we know she didn't go to the casino without her license, because if she won, she knew she needed her ID. So that really bugged me. That was December 21st. It was really cold on the 22nd. On the 23rd, my brother-in-law came and was having coffee with us, and I said, I'm going to go down and look at the road. The sun had come out, because I know she had her license. And we were walking along, and he found this little black purse that had her license, a couple other business cards, a couple dollars was in it. Sure enough, laying right there. And she was hit Tuesday night. That Thursday, we had that 8.5 inches of snow. And then we had that big meltdown. And from just living at the house and being there cutting the grass, the stuff you would find in the trees was amazing. So I believe that when she was hit, it flung up into the pine tree, and then when that big melt came down, because many of us walked that stretch of the road, he had her on his car for, what did they say, 180 feet? 280 feet, something like that, before he hit the brakes to get her off of the car. So I think it was up in the pine trees, because we had all walked that, nobody saw it there.
So Donna, you believe that she was hit so hard that her purse ended up in a tree. And it subsequently fell down for you to find.
When the melt came, because I can't imagine the police wouldn't have seen it, and that none of us. I mean, my relatives were all there. Everybody walked that roadway, looking at the markings and everything, because they had marked where her watch was, where her necklace was. But yes, he hit her so hard that he broke her back, he broke her neck, severed her spleen, severed her aorta. Both legs were broken, one arm, a wrist.